Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. For the first time this week, it's time for a preview for our game against Hearts. We've got them Wednesday night, we've got them Saturday afternoon, so we'll have two games against them. This one, Celtic Park, in the league. Let's carry on from where we left off on Sunday against St Mirren. If you haven't already, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Apologies for no video yesterday. Had uni and such, so never really got round to it. But I make up for it today because on the channel today, in this video, we'll be hearing firsthand from our manager, from the leader himself, Ange today. Celtic the Thunder were invited along to speak with the manager and Matt O'Reilly in the pre-match press conference. So I'll be playing the clips from Ryan McGinley's visit to the Zoom call. I was about to say Celtic Park, but it was through Zoom. I'll be playing the clips from that a little bit later on in this video, so you've got something to look forward to. But it's a big game for Celtic. Hearts is never an easy game. Being at home, you would expect the 3 points as usual, but I'm sure they'll make it a tough task. And it's a bit of a dress rehearsal for what maybe Hearts will consider the bigger game on Saturday. Will we maybe see a Hearts team who don't give it their all, knowing that they have the chance to knock us out the cup at Tynecastle? These are questions that will be asked. I think that you've just ultimately got to expect the same tough test every time you play them, whether it be the League, Cup, whatever. It's still going to be a tough game. So we've got a job. We've got to carry on from the momentum we built with that comeback on Sunday. A 5-1 win at St Mirren Park. Let's get another 3 points tomorrow night. We'll talk about it all. We'll talk about the game plan. Because one of the main topics of conversation heading into this game is rotation. So the questions were asked of the manager today as to whether or not he will rotate heading into this game against Hearts tomorrow night, considering it's the first time we've had a midweek fixture in quite a wee while. You know, it feels kind of alien being back to the 3 fixtures, but Saturday to Saturday sort of thing. Start of the season, we're used to it. We have Champions League, we've got games at the weekend. It's pretty much the norm, but since the return of the World Cup, it's been kind of rare to see a midweek fixture for Celtic, especially in the last couple of months. So it's a welcome change for me. I like having the 3 games, gives me more to talk about on the channel, but it certainly creates a little bit of a headache in terms of team selection and the manager's choices heading into these games. And obviously, the big games, you don't want to take any game too lightly or any opponent too lightly. And we know from the past that Ange isn't a manager who just rotates for the sake of it. He's been very clear on that, and he's showed it through the evidence on the park. He's never really went out and changed a team too much, no matter who we're playing. But he has spoke about it both last week in the papers and today at the press conference as to the fact there definitely will be some changes made to the team that take on Hearts either tomorrow night, or Saturday. Which one will it be? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But there definitely, his words, will be changes. I think that it's more likely that we'll see this rotation and these changes to the team tomorrow night rather than Saturday. I think Saturday maybe requires the best side being away from home, being a cup tie. It's one and done. You can't get a second chance really. So I think Saturday just logically points towards playing the best side and maybe making some changes at Celtic Park tomorrow. But this is the thing about rotation with Celtic at the minute. Ange touched on this at the presser today. We've got a squad of 22 players at the minute. 22 very good quality players who are all dying to play football. Whether we make 5 or 6 changes to the 11 that played against St Mirren on Sunday or not, you're still playing a far stronger side than what Hearts have, and you're still playing a side that throughout the course of a league season could still win the title. You bring in the likes of Haksabanovic, you bring in Iwata, you bring in Kobayashi, you bring in Ralston, you bring in you bring in Abada, you bring in, Turnbull, you bring in all of these different names who don't usually start games, and it's still a league-winning side over the course of a full season, in my opinion. So we're in a very lucky position. It almost feels as if rotation isn't rotation, if that makes sense. So I think it'll be more likely to see them tomorrow night, and it does beg the question, is this now the chance for players like Kobayashi and Iwata to get a big league start and make a big impression in front of a Celtic Park crowd? I think they've already gave us a good impression so far. I've liked what I've seen of everybody, basically. But I think being against Hearts, who are, the 3rd best side in the league, to go out and get a full 90 minutes, hopefully under their belt, or at least a significant more amount of minutes, is huge for them. So we'll have to wait and see, and we'll talk about it in the starting 11 prediction later in the video. So on that note, with the chance to speak with Ange Postecoglou this afternoon, Ryan McGinley asked the manager about the squad depth situation heading into these games, and this is what the manager had to say.
Hi Ange. The Celtic bench is in a really strong place at the minute in terms of both the numbers and the talent available to you. Would you say that since taking charge that this is the best pool of players to select from in terms of squad depth?
Yeah, look, I've said that. I think I said after the international break, I really feel this is the strongest sort of squad of players we've had. Not from the point of view of just sort of the quality of players, or it's more the impact that they're all making and the way they're training. And from my perspective, I just feel really confident that whoever goes into the game, whether they start or sort of come on, is going to make an impact, because they're all really in a good space mentally at the moment, where they're all wanting to contribute, and from that perspective, this is the strongest we've been. Now, it's fair to say also the last sort of 4 weeks we haven't had any midweek games, so that means that, knock on wood, we've hardly had any injuries as well, which is great. But we need a strong squad. People forget the beginning of the year when we had Champions League football. It was very, very demanding, and I often made 4 or 5 changes to the team, because Champions League football takes a lot out of you physically, mentally, and our league form would have suffered if we didn't have a strong squad. We need to keep building on that and making sure that, whilst at the moment it may look like, oh well, it's a bit of a luxury that we've got so many good players in the building, it won't be long, and hopefully next year when the league starts again, we've got European football, that we're going to require a stronger squad.
And just talking about the bench, Liel Abad on Sunday played a massive part of coming off of it and ensuring another victory, and he took a step closer to 100 appearances for Celtic. How impressed have you been with his influence on the team since he joined last season, especially given his young age when he arrived at the club?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I mean, young age, coming from Israel, his first time out of the country, it's not easy. He was sort of blessed in a certain way, having sort of Near here as a sort of good influence on him, but the dressing room he walked into was a really good dressing room, because it was a new team. So he kind of, well, sometimes when you're new, it's hard to sort of gel. I mean, he was walking into a dressing room where everyone was new, so everyone was in the same boat, and I think that helped him. But he's done remarkably well. I mean, like I said, he was still a teenager. I think when he came, he was 19, and over the last, like I said, close to 100 games, if you look at the impact he's made just from goals and assists, as a winger, that's a requirement for us. You have to produce goals and assists because of the way we play. That's easier said than done, particularly for a young player, though. And he's constantly delivered, and he's always looking to improve himself and the way he sort of plays, and I can see that the improvements in Liel are more around his decision making during games, and how he can best use the talents he has. And like any young player, that needs time, it needs experience, and whilst he's been learning, he hasn't stopped impacting or sort of being a really key contributor to us. And his numbers, like I said, for a winger are right up there, extraordinary. And again, he's another one where I know there's more to come.
Obviously very happy with where his squad lies at the moment, Ange Postecoglou. We've got a very strong team, and it's a fun one for him to use, I'd imagine. It must be, when you play Football Manager and you've went one of the best teams in the game, and you can just spend willy-nilly, and you have like 25 players, and it's a struggle to actually pick it. That must be how it feels for Ange at the moment, because whatever 11 he fields is going to be able to complete the task. So he brings up the point about midweek games and how demanding the start of the season was with the Champions League. Of course, it's very different now. We don't have that sort of the same demand that what we did at the start of the season, which means it's probably, I wonder how much that impacts players at this point of the season, and how it kind of changes their mentality, because at the start of the season, these are guys, Haksabanovic might be the prime example. We've seen a lot more time before the World Cup, and he was really coming into his own before the World Cup, and that was probably down to the fact we had so many fixtures crammed into that opening portion of the season. But now we're in a situation where we don't have as many games, and they're maybe not getting as many minutes as we'd expect to see them getting, not getting as many starts. So I wonder how that impacts game time and impacts selection in the head of the manager, because there is only a certain amount of minutes you can dish out to each player. We don't have as many many games packed in a week to kind of spread the field of play. So it's an interesting one, but the manager seems to be, you know, fine and looking forward to the task of having these 3 games. I think it's good. It keeps us on our toes. I don't mind a wee midweek fixture as long as things are going well. So, yeah, and obviously the other big question that Ryan asked was about Liel Abada and how impressed the manager is with him and his contributions to the team this season. Of course, a lot of questions have been raised around the contract situation, but more specifically his time off coming off the bench. He's not started a lot of games, but he gets brought on off the bench a lot, and he still contributes massively. And you can hear how much that means to the manager and how much he's happy with his progress since joining the club. It's a special talent, Liel Abada, and the fact that we can bring players like him off the bench is massive. Ryan then spoke to midfielder Matt O'Reilly, who has come back into form recently after some people were getting on the back of him a wee bit. I still thought it was a bit unwarranted, the criticism that Matt O'Reilly was getting, but he's back in the goals, he's getting assists, his goal contributions are better than ever, and Ryan McGinley asked him that alongside another question. So here's this.
Hi, Matt. So new players such as O and Alistair Johnson are now beginning to lead the celebrations after the victories at the end of the games, despite only being at the club for a matter of months. What do you think that says about the chemistry of the group, that the new boys feel so comfortable in doing that?
Yeah, I think it speaks for itself. Like I said earlier about the culture in terms of bringing in good people, those two are the examples of the perfect examples of really good people. You know, Ali's a really chatty, friendly guy, and to be honest, O is as well. As much as his English is not perfect, he's really making an effort to speak with boys and kind of adapt to the UK culture. So I think a lot of the boys have taken to him really quickly, and hopefully the fans do as well.
And you're now starting to score goals this season to go along with your many assists in the league. How happy are you that you're accumulating both types of goal contributions in your game?
Yeah, of course. I probably haven't scored as many as I'd have liked this season, like you said, so it's nice to add that back into my game a bit. I think that's probably come from worrying about scoring a bit less, if I'm being honest. You know, when you kind of put too much pressure on yourself to achieve an outcome, the chances of it happening are probably a lot less. But yeah, regardless, I'm not actually too fussed if I score or assist or if I just play well. As long as the team is winning like we are doing, then I'm pretty content.
I like that Matt speaks about the fact he's taking that pressure off of himself to score goals. You know what I mean? You can tell that there was that period of time, and it probably spanned from playing in that deeper role in the midfield where he really, really wanted a goal. You've seen the stat, it got shown every fucking week on Sky Sports, had the most shots in the league without scoring a goal. But that never spoke, that for me didn't say anything about the quality of Matt O'Reilly or his game. I think it was just, he wanted that goal so badly, and maybe it was affecting him a little bit, but I'm glad he's taken that pressure off of himself. It probably has helped that he has scored a couple here and there over the past couple of months. But he's a fantastic player, and he's another one we're really lucky to have in this situation where he might not start, but the fact that he's on the bench and you're bringing him on is brilliant. And also he speaks about the kind of gelling in of players like Alistair Johnson. It seems like such a happy camp at the minute, and you couldn't write it from the position we maybe were in a couple of years ago. These are guys I'm so happy to have around the club. Matt O'Reilly excited for tomorrow's game. Could he be one of the players who comes into the starting 11 off the back of some changes? The opposition. Usually in the preview show we talk about the opposition a hell of a lot earlier, but we've had first-hand words from the manager and Matt O'Reilly, so that's more important. The opposition, though, this is the recent form on screen. The big shock was their loss to Motherwell a couple of weeks ago. I don't think many people saw that coming, but still quite, by far, you would say, the third best team in the country. Robbie Neilson, though, am I going to make another video about him complaining come Sunday afternoon? Probably. What excuses will he have this time? Mr. Neilson, please come and leave in silence. That's all I ask. But tough, you know, a good side, Hearts. We know that they have the players that can hurt us, but we've done really well against them recently. And for a team that always gets thrown in as a bogey side for Celtic, you know, pundits like to use that a lot. You know, we've not showed many struggles against them in the last year or so. So here's the fun part. The starting 11 prediction for Celtic. I am going out on a limb with this one. I will be nowhere near the correct 11, but here on screen is the 11 I am going with. A lot of changes. as you can see, and I would be surprised if the manager actually makes as many changes. Joe Hart in goals, as always. I don't see any change there. Back four, I've gone for Johnson, Vickers, Kobayashi, and Taylor. Now, two of the big talking points that people might bring up is no Ralston, no Bernabei, rotation. Would they not come in? I think that Ralston is probably due a couple of appearances off the bench before he gets to start. Johnson's been playing too well as well at the minute. I don't think we'd halt that kind of momentum for him. So I'm going to stick with Johnson for now. And the reason I'm not going Bernabei is because he's just been nowhere to be seen recently. So would he come right in for a start against Hearts midweek? I don't know. So that's my back four. Midfield three, I've gone Iwata, McGregor, and O'Reilly. This would see McGregor, of course, moved up the park a little bit to allow Iwata to fill in that kind of number 6 role, if you like. McGregor and O'Reilly's the partnership I've gone in the middle. Yes, that means dropping Rio Hatate, which for some would be illegal at the moment, but I just have a feeling that could be the three, so I'm going with that. And in the front three, changes all round. Abada, O, and Haksabanovic. I think Haksabanovic has been playing well enough to merit a start. Abada has just been... Abada changed the game at the weekend. And having a start would be good. And if the manager is serious about definitely making changes, I think this could be the one to make sense to give that well kind of needed start, I would say. I think he needs that little bit of confidence in his game that it's maybe not quite there yet. He has been good. I'm not saying he's not got confidence, but just the next level of it. So that's the team I'm going with. Very different looking side. But that's the thing about this team. You know, it's hard enough to guess the team when you know kind of what it's going to be. But when you talk about changes all of a sudden, you don't know how many or where he's exactly going to make those changes. So it's a real guessing game. And I think your guess is as good as mine as to what we might see this weekend. Finally, my score prediction for tomorrow night, I'm going to go for 2-0 to Celtic. And that does it. There you go. That's today's video. A wee bit longer of a match preview than usual, but obviously comments being thrown in from the people at Celtic. So yeah, thank you to Ryan McGinley for heading along. Make sure to follow him on Twitter for more as well. And thank you for watching. Yeah, see you all next time.